Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shareen. I'm an interior designer in New York City. In this video, we will talk about what takes so long on a project. I will guarantee you it is probably not what you think. The number one thing that moves smoothly on the project is your project manager. Whenever you have a project, you want to be very, very careful that you have an actual dedicated person who is assigned to your project management. This may be you if you want to be that person, but please be aware that there are a plethora of tasks that have to be addressed. Not just what has to be done design-wise and style-wise and permit-wise and building-wise, but also all of the materials that need to come in, all of the contractors and subcontractors that had to be managed, all of the deadlines and timelines, payments, invoicing, deposits, insurance, etc., etc., etc. That list can become very long, and your project manager is going to be kind of the biggest element to tie those things together. At Green Shareen Design, we offer full service design, or we offer design only. If you're going with full service, then you have access to us as the project manager liaison to your project. That means we are placing the order for your items. We're making sure that your items are being delivered. We're making sure that they're not broken or damaged, and we're getting it fixed if that's the case. Because I promise you, there will be issues, but we can fix them. Why am I wearing a mask? I will show you right now. Shout out to Dister at I Love My Hood, who is working on this mural here at Uptown Gaming. This lounge is coming soon to Uptown. This is one of our latest projects. You probably haven't seen much of a sneak peek of it yet, but today you're going to get to see more. So the things that are not delaying the projects, the contractors. These guys are hard at work getting things done as needed. A solid lighting plan is going to cover ambient lighting, tax lighting, and accent lighting. And I did a video on lighting last year. I'll do another one this year, but I'll link the old one up here so that you can check it out. And in a thorough lighting plan, you don't just have lights, you also have speakers, you have security cameras, you have sprinklers, unless you have fire retardant walls, because you have to consider where that is in respect to the lighting that's throughout the space. And then you also have an HVAC plan. So your lighting has to enclose all of those things in addition to the light switches that are going to control access to that to make sure that when a client is coming in and out of a space, they can see properly. The emergency lighting that's mandated that has to be over the exit and the areas of egress. There should be at least 2 points of egress in a space. And then all of your electrical outlets. Your electrical outlets will range from irregular voltage to higher voltage, 20, 25 watt, 50 watt. And then depending on what high intensity equipment that you have in the space, you also might want to have 220 volt. And that's for the US. Obviously, there's a different conversion rate for international. But all of that goes into the plan and needs to be spec'd. Otherwise, once you're done, you might end up blowing fuses, having too high of an electrical load, not being able to support the equipment or the appliances that you've purchased, or worst case scenario, just ending up with a power outage, which you don't want to do. So you start off by taking a look at your breaker box in your space, identifying how many open circuits you have, whether or not you can add additional circuits, whether or not the breaker box needs to be replaced, and your full electrical load of the space. Everything that you want to put in there, from the tools, the equipment, the processors, displays, cameras, Wi-Fi, the router, the alarm system, all of that falls within the electrical. And other things you want to consider is your thermostat placement, so that you can control the temperature in the space, how many units you have, so that you make sure that it's flowing properly. If you decide you want to start putting up walls or restructuring things, you have to consider the fact that that will impact how the air flows in the space, and that'll also impact the cost of the heating or the cost of cooling that space. So those are things to consider when you're drawing out an electrical plan. And if you would like some help with that, you definitely want to hire an interior designer who can walk you through what that looks like. For us, we start the plans with electrical, and we work through figuring out exactly what the pain points are or what the service areas are, how we want to make sure that those are lit, and then drawing the lighting from there. 99% of the clients when we start will say to me, we don't need that much light. And then by the end of the design, they look at me later and they go, those lights are amazing. and you were right. And you actually do need that amount of light in order to make sure that your space is well lit. In this space, I'll give you an example of how we've used some of those 3 different types of lighting so that you can see. So we have our ambient light, which in this case is really the natural light that's coming in from those large windows in the front. We do have a plan to put up some drapery in order to have some privacy and also temperature control, but the majority of the ambient light is coming from there. We also have some accent light, which is happening with all of the alcoves and the LED strips that are throughout the space. And then last but not least, we have our task lighting. So our task lighting is dedicated on the sconces. It's the pendant lights that are hanging over the bar. And it is also the recess lights, which are strategically placed over where each of the tables or gaming chairs are going to be set up. So that is how we've broken up the lighting in this particular space. You'll also see in our ceiling, we have some outlets for television displays or other displays that are going to be going up in the future. This has a pretty high intense load because we'll be running a lot of different gaming centers and consoles throughout this space. Not every place usually requires that much electrical load, but when you're dealing with a kitchen, especially commercial kitchens, you do want to be mindful of how much electricity you're going to be drawing in the space so that you can keep everything running without having any outages. So that concludes your little precursor on lighting plans and what goes into them and the importance of them. And again, this is something that you want to have done first and foremost before you close walls and move forward in the plan, because it may seem like a simple thing to put in recessed lights, but it actually isn't, because it requires multiple holes in the wall and in the process in order to get the light where you would like it and run the wires the way you want to run it and plug things in. Pro tip, if you are working in a space and you want to create like a two-way switch situation without having to actually purchase a plug, you can put in some wireless switches that can work remotely without having to run wires. So that's something that we do in the space when we have some cameras that we want to use that are wired, and then maybe we have other cameras that we want to add after the fact or change our mind on things. We might add wireless cameras, and then they all work cohesively together, but have saved us a little bit of time with the electricity. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere on YouTube, but you chose to be with me, and I appreciate that. I will see you next time, Thursday after next. Ciao.